We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Whistleblowers, presidential contenders, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lupkin, and here's the news you need to know. Former CIA Deputy Director Michael Morell testified before the House Judiciary and Intelligence Committees and revealed that then Biden campaign senior advisor, now Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, played a role in the inception of the public statement signed by current and past intelligence officials that claimed the Hunter Biden laptop was part of a Russian disinformation campaign. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan and House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Turner sent a letter to Blinken Thursday, notifying him that the panels are conducting oversight of federal law enforcement and intelligence matters within our respective jurisdictions. We are examining that public statement signed by 51 former intelligence officials that falsely discredited a New York Post story regarding Hunter Biden's laptop as supposed Russian disinformation, they wrote. As part of our oversight, we have learned that you played a role in the inception of this statement while serving as a Biden campaign advisor, and we therefore request your assistance with our oversight. China is quickly moving towards a ban on certain rare earth metal exports. The policy change could create a disruption in non-Chinese economies unable to source enough rare earth metals needed for high-tech products, batteries, and high-performance magnets. China's move will likely come soon in 2023, as the amendment to the country's technology export restrictions list has already passed several hurdles. This update to the list of banned export materials is likely to cause significant issues for both the United States and Japan. This comes as the Biden administration pushes a green agenda that makes the United States dependent on China for those rare earth metals. The White House on Thursday dismissed allegations from a whistleblower who claims the Biden administration has mishandled the federal investigation into Hunter Biden and said President Biden has upheld his commitment to ensure the investigation is free from any political interference. Since he took office, and consistent with his campaign promise that he would restore the independence of the Justice Department when it comes to decision-making in criminal investigations, President Biden has made clear that this matter would be handled independently by the Justice Department under the leadership of a U.S. attorney appointed by former President Trump, free from any political interference by the White House, according to White House spokesman Sarnes. The Biden administration has repeatedly stated that the president knows nothing about Hunter Biden's business dealings and his tax problems, and evidence continues to arrive disproving that claim. A group of Democratic lawmakers reintroduced the Green New Deal, sweeping legislation that would cost taxpayers tens of trillions of dollars and phase out fossil fuel production. The Democrats, led by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Ed Markey, said their legislation, if enacted, would tackle the climate crisis with a decade-long mobilization that creates millions of good-paying union jobs. They added the bill would strengthen U.S. infrastructure and combat pollution. When we first introduced the Green New Deal, we were told that our vision for the future was too aspirational, Ocasio-Cortez said. 4 years later, we see core tenets of the Green New Deal reflected in the Inflation Reduction Act, the largest ever federal investment in fighting climate change, with a focus on creating good green jobs. But there is still much, much more to do to make environmental justice the center of U.S. climate policy, she continued. Today's reintroduction marks the beginning of that process of strengthening and broadening our coalition and of laying the policy groundwork for the next fight. While the Green New Deal is just 14 pages and includes little detail about how it would achieve its lofty greenhouse gas emissions reduction goals, the legislation would effectively end fossil fuel extraction and include massive investments in green energy alternatives. The green jobs that the Inflation Reduction Act claims to have created seem to all be jobs in China, as we have outsourced most of what we need to that country. The bill stands no chance of getting through the Republican-led House. The House of Representatives on Thursday passed a bill seeking to bar transgender athletes from competing in women's and girls' school sports. The Senate, controlled by a narrow majority of Democrats, is not expected to take up the legislation, and even if it did, the White House says President Biden would veto it. The House bill would bar transgender women and girls from playing on teams corresponding to their gender identity as opposed to their actual gender. The legislation would change federal law to make sex recognized based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth for determining compliance in athletics under Title IX, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of gender in education and school programs that receive federal funding. Conservative talk radio host Larry Elder entered the race for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination on Thursday, saying it is his patriotic duty to serve the country. Elder, who ran unsuccessfully in California's 2021 recall campaign, announced his bid on Tucker Carlson's Fox News program. He is a long shot in a race dominated by former President Donald Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who hasn't officially announced he's running. The field also includes former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, and probably Senator Tim Scott, who is exploring a bid. On the Democratic side, President Biden is expected to formally announce his bid for re-election as soon as next week. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch the Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.